This week marked the end of Columbia Ward 1 council member Jenny Chadwick's somewhat tumultuous 9 months on that governing body. Facing a recall effort and other developments in her academic pursuits, she resigned from the council at noon on Tuesday. Before she heads off onto her other endeavors, she agreed to, in what she called her last interview, be on This Week on ABC 17 News. I start our conversation asking her if the job she was elected to do was all that she expected.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Believe it or not, I went in with eyes pretty wide open. I had seen what Fred Schmidt had gone through and the negativity. I wasn't the first Ward City Council representative to have a recall effort initiated on them. Almeda Creighton had a recall effort initiated on her. Fred Schmidt had one. Mine moved forward further than any other council representative had. Daryl Dudley had one on him. So as far as the negativity, it was a little surprising to me how intense and negative people would be, especially personally.
You were even called a liar.
Absolutely, yeah. Called a liar about the marijuana ordinance, saying that I outright lied to my constituents. And, that was based on one comment that I made at a NAACP forum when asked if I would support Barbara Hoppy's ordinance. And at that time I said, Columbia is innovative, and we are often in the forefront of adopting policy. And do I support marijuana decriminalization? In concept, yes. But at that point, obviously, I didn't have legal counsel or staff telling me we don't have the legal power to put this in place. And, Dan Viets had drafted that ordinance. It wasn't drafted by city staff, and Barbara Hoppy sponsored the ordinance. So it wasn't put forth by the normal way that we put an ordinance on the agenda. So it wasn't brought forth by staff, and staff knew that they didn't have the power to enforce the ordinance.
Right, and you also mentioned the last time you were here about how it would just be mostly symbolic because it doesn't override the feds. It doesn't even override MU campus. Right,
and technically it doesn't override our Columbia Police Department. The Columbia Police have made it very clear that they're sworn to uphold laws at all levels. The federalism doesn't give us the power to change the marijuana cultivation laws.
So what is your message to your detractors?
It's important for them to fully understand the power that city government has. I said I put laws in place that we can uphold and uphold the laws that we had in place. And a small group of very vocal people can get a lot of media attention, can stimulate a group. The First Ward, unfortunately, has a very low voter turnout. So in order to recall a city council representative in the First Ward, they needed very few signatures.
Nearly 20,000 people, and all they needed
was
300.
Yeah, 249 is what they needed. They came up with 304.
Does that need to change?
Well, there's been a lot of people in Columbia that have reached out to me and said, the way that this recall has happened is not how we want a recall to happen. If you do something as a council representative that is truly, illegal or violating what happened, this is a group or several groups came together on different issues that they didn't like my vote on. And so does it need to change? Well, it makes it really simple for a representative to get recalled. And one thing I hope it does is it stimulates voter engagement in the First Ward, but we'll see.
What do you have to say to your supporters who are disappointed to see you leave?
Yeah. For that, I too am disappointed to be leaving, but I think that for the city overall, it's best. I am a graduate student. I will be graduating this year and pursuing a PhD. Initially, I thought I would defer a year before and stay in Columbia and finish out the term, but with the recall process, it didn't make sense to use city resources knowing that I was applying to PhD programs and could possibly leave. And so I have heard several candidates that have stepped potentially up to run for the First Ward. I think that we'll get good representation in the First Ward.
That's one of my final questions would be, what is your advice for your successor?
Oh, Fred said, don't do it. Nobody should do it. I wouldn't say that. It's a really great position. It's an honor to be serving in the role of a city council representative. In my term, I feel like we did some really awesome things. The University of Missouri is growing. We have hopes for 5,000 students increase in the next 5 years. I feel that students in close proximity to campus is the most sustainable thing to do, and that was in my support of the student housing development that provided students space in close proximity. I also feel that, public health, I'm a public health master's student, and so the tobacco ordinance is something that I am very excited to be have put in place for Columbia. Now we're protecting Columbia youth from access to tobacco, the most deadly product. So the things that I did while I was there, I'm very excited about, and I know that many in Columbia are also grateful for the things that I did, and for that I thank you.
Jenny Chadwick, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
And by the way, anyone running for the first ward seat has until February 10th to gather 50 signatures to get their name on the April ballot.